States will have the beam routine opportunity of her young life. She will be the last to go. And that picture had 1,000 words to go with it, didn't it?
It did.
Now to Zhu Zhiru of China. In 4th place after 2 events. But after what just happened on the balance beam to Nastia Liukin, who knows how this jumble is going to take a little longer than others. We've got a little Chinese show going on right now.
We do. There have been so many delays in both days of this American Cup. All of the judges are really struggling, to be perfectly honest. They have to get the scores.
Oh, you know.
Unbelievable.
This is getting on the beam. That's been difficult today. You know, traditionally, the Chinese are great on uneven bars, on balance beam. We've said that a million times before. And she's no exception. I was just going to say the 13.1 that she scored the other day was not a great indication of how she works the balance beam, but, you know, certainly not putting it together when it counts.
A little bit of a pause there, too. She should keep that moving. And
8/10.
Well, she fought so hard to save that mount, and then she couldn't hold that one.
A lot of the athletes saying that this time frame is very difficult for them, especially with upgrading and making changes for these rules very early in the season.
Sure, and many of them as well saying that they have a lot of skills that they're thinking of putting in the routines, but the key to this new code is don't put something in unless you can do it perfectly.
And this is just a bust right here.
Yeah.
This will not help her either. As I said earlier, she is a 2nd-tier level gymnast in China, according to the coaches, and this could have been a place to stick her gymnastics into the ground, wave the flag, and say, I need to be in the running for Beijing, but that won't help.
There are some crushed hopes inside that little body. Make those little mistakes. And now the scoring is being entered in a computer terminal such as that. And for more on this new scoring in gymnastics, we go to Andrea Joyce as we await for some scores.
Well, Al, I just spoke to Pat Panijas, who is the women's technical director for this meet, and she told me that the delays so far are not about the new scoring. It's not about the judges. She says there's no confusion. She is rolling her eyes, though, an awful lot down here. She said physically they're having problems with the keypads as they input the scores, but that's a problem that could have happened under the old system, so they're not worried so far about how the new scoring is slowing anything down at all. Back to you guys.
Meanwhile, that piece of paper looks like a physics regents exam.
It is far more difficult, though, for the judges. When they took the course, they just were blown away at how much had to be done all at once. It is far more complicated, and most of the errors that have been occurring are simple addition errors.
Let me ask you a question, though, Tim. We go back to Alexei Nemov when he did his, what was it, 6 release moves?
Yes, exactly.
And got scored ridiculously low in one of the great Olympic high bar performances of all time. Clearly, there was a judge, or more than one judge, who was overmatched by the situation. Now, look at what has to go into a score here.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, obviously there was, you know, as skating suffered some, endured some problems in Salt Lake, they went back and revamped their scoring system. Gymnastics took a black eye in Athens with Paul Hamm and all of the trauma that surrounded that. And as you said, Nemov doing this spectacular routine that honestly, the way the rules were set up at that point, there was no way to reward him over somebody else.
Zhu Zhiru got a 12.85. She will fall in the standings. And now we go to Daria Bijak of Germany.
And did you see that now? One of the first girls to actually take some risk getting on the balance beam, and she was successful. She is the 2005 national champion from Germany.
Huge chance for her to move up in the standings.
Now here's an athlete who will take advantage of the tricks. She'll do some high-level skills, but where she lacks is in the execution department. We've got 2 judges down there on the floor that are working on that difficulty score. And there are 6 judges that are keying in on what she does, how she executes this routine.
Execution basically means deduction. So if knees are bent, feet are flexed, that small step correction on the landing, every time they make a mistake, an error like that, it comes out of the execution department, which once again is the traditional 10.0. And once again, 8/10 of a point.
2 of the 3 women were ahead of her in the standings, had bad mistakes. Shayla Worley of the United States is the 3rd, and she's going to go last in this rotation. That was a big chance.
And much more difficult dismount
Where'd that come from?
than we saw the other day. Shades of Yelena Prudnova right there. Double front off the balance beam.
Yeah, and she has the power to do it.
Still to come, Shayla Worley from Orlando, Florida. And Tim, if people are watching who've been to Disney World or maybe live in Orlando or looking at her, it's driving them crazy. They think they've seen her before. It's possible.
It sure is. On 300 buses, her life-size picture of her giving Mickey Mouse a kiss all throughout mid-Florida, the Orlando area. She's done a lot of different acting and a lot of commercial things. Her coach, Jeff Wood, actually about a year ago, though, said, you know, you can be a relatively high-level gymnast and do all this extra stuff. If you want to be one of the best in the world, we got to make a decision. And so she has put that to bed for now, and gymnastics is what she's doing.
And coming into this event in Philadelphia, it was all Liukin, with good reason. There's an unbelievable track record for Liukin. At the end of the day, we might be saying Worley.
Yeah, this is her first senior national or international competition. So she says one of the things that she does best is perform in front of a large crowd. And, you know, we sat down with her. We talked to her. She is confident. I can't believe the maturity level in this young athlete.
So still to come.
9 points, so he lost a full point in execution.
You can tell the look on Nastia Liukin's face is, what would you say, angry?
I would say disappointed in herself, because of both of the things that she did today, she is capable of doing so much better and not having those little mental mistakes.
And the women will perform on floor exercise last, so that's her last chance to make a move. Shayla Worley of Team USA gets set for what has to be the biggest beam performance of her life. Warm up with Fabian Hambuchen of Germany. Shayla Worley, just from what you've told me, Tim and Elfie, she's got a little bit of a sparkle there. There's some special little quality about her.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I walked into the arena today, and usually these young ladies from the USA, they're so serious, so focused. They put their head down and they walk right by you. They try to not have eye contact. And we just met her yesterday, had a nice chat. And as soon as I walked by, she looked right up, gave me a big smile, said, "Hey, Tim."
Yeah.
So it's
wants to talk. She's very, very bright, very perky. She's great.
So as Worley just passes the time, and everybody's got their own different way. Some can sit and stare, some can't. What do you think Liukin was saying with this look?
Oh, she was saying, I needed to change that beam mount. Honestly, I mean, she took an 8/10 deduction on that mount. That was more than half of the deductions just on that mount alone, and it was really easy for her.
You know, though, didn't know if he'd even be able to get out on the floor today, but has been grunting through.
So Hambuchen, Elfie, I think you'd agree, he's had an Octo Libre day, and so has Elena Zamolodchikova. She did a faceplant on the uneven bars.
You know, Zamo in the past has been known for her power on vault, floor exercise. Beam's always been okay, but again, where the judges are going to be focusing on are things like her legs, the bent knees, that execution score. There are no gimmies here.
Way back in 2000, though, where she won her 2 Olympic gold medals, she was in the hunt. Actually could have wrapped it up and won the all-around, but on her best event, floor exercise, made a very unusual error at that point. One of the holdovers from the Russia team, Svetlana Horkina, a star for many years, and Elena's teammate, has retired, is now a new mom.
Yeah, had a baby. You've seen the baby, Tim.
Yes. But Russia really, truly is in a rebuilding phase. Every time you ask them about, the history and the tradition, it always comes back to the same thing, that all of our coaches, all of the knowledge base, they're not in Russia anymore. They are all over the world spreading that knowledge in places like the USA, Brazil,
And Tim, I think that's why they're still holding on to gymnasts like Elena.